Do you know what is B2B and B2C business? And what's the difference? And how it can impact your business? Now today I'm going to talk about B2B, B2C because there's a lot of my students, when they start a business, they are a little bit confused. They are not too sure what their business model. If you watched my earlier video, I talk about different business models. So B2B and B2C is one of the major business model. So when you want to start a business, you must understand what kind of business you want to go into. B2B is basically business to business, meaning that you have product or your services you are selling to another business. So you're dealing with business companies. B2C, on the other hand, is business to consumer, meaning that your business is selling, you can be a product or services to a consumer, means that the end user. Now some of our students may ask, B2B and B2C, can we combine it together? Means that my business, can I do B2B and B2C also? The answer is yes, but you must understand there is a difference between B2B and B2C, especially when you come to marketing. Let's see what's the difference. Now B2B versus B2C. So in B2B, usually the dealing are more professionals and more formal. And B2C of course is more casual. So you're selling, example, you're selling a t-shirt, you can sell to B2B, means that you can sell to a companies, you can also sell to an end consumer. But the dealing is different. You see, B2B, when you deal with the companies, you are not dealing with one person. Now when I say company, usually is the size at least 10 and above. So there are multiple parties that is involved. So the person who find you, who will source for you or ask you for a quotation may be coming from their purchasing department. But the person who make decisions whether to buy from you maybe is the general manager or HR manager is another parties. So it's very different compared to B2C, where B2C you are dealing with individuals. So when people look at your products, let's say you're posting an ads in a Facebook and people like your products and you talk to them and they decide to buy, meaning that that person, because they buy from himself or his or her family. You see, so that you are dealing with direct decision makers. But when you deal with the companies, a lot of time you're not dealing with that one person. So there are multiple parties involved. So the higher the value of your product or services, the more parties are involved. Yeah? And the next thing is the closing lead time. The process of going through all this to make a decision whether to buy from you or from other people, it takes time. And the higher the value, they will have procedures to have a different comparison quotations from different vendors or suppliers. So it's very different compared to B2C. So B2C is usually very fast closing lead time. So when a consumer or end consumer see your products, they like it, the price is okay with them, the quality is good, so they can decide immediately and buy from you. So the closing time is very short. Now at the same time, B2C, the purchase we always say is more emotional buy. People look at a product, it's like, wow, they are impressed, they like it, immediately they just want it and they buy it. Whereas in B2B, it's more rational. Even though there's an emotional when I see the product, hey, I want to buy, but they have to justify to go through different levels, maybe the management and so on. After the justification, it becomes more rational. So there's a lot of facts and all this thing is involved compared to B2C marketing. Then in B2B, usually a company want to have a long-term supplier relationship. So they will buy from you not only once, but they continue to buy from you if your product or services is good. Whereas B2C, yeah, they can buy from you. It depends on how you sell your strategies, but they are normally instant attraction. They may jump to other product or brand as well. But if you have a good control and get them to keep buying from you, so you have a good promotions, good customer service, they can always have a long-term relationship with you too. But a company, because to get a vendor in, there's a procedures. They have this so-called approved vendors procedures. To get a suppliers on board to become the approved vendors, there are procedures and it takes some time to go through that. So a lot of the so-called purchasing officers, they will have to do all this job and it's sometimes very tedious. The bigger the amount they're going to spend on you, and also the bigger the company, the procedures are more complicated. So they do not want to keep finding new suppliers. So that is why there is always a long-term relationship if you can get on board a corporate approved vendor list. And finally is that B2B customer support is very important. A lot of them, because they're running operations, it depends on their service or products. If your product service is related to the operation, fast response is expected. So you have to serve them pretty well. In B2C, they're more focusing on selling. That's why it's emotional buy. So when you can sell well, they will buy from you. So now these are the B2B and B2C market. So if you want to combine B2B and B2C, you must know the two different ways of how to handle these two different groups of customers. Now, if you have two teams of people, I've seen companies that have people who do B2B, means that they have a team of people focused on B2B marketing and a team of people focused on the B2C. In B2C, the order is a lot, but the quantity is less. Whereas B2B, the order is less, but the quantity that they order is huge, usually. So these are the two different. So you must have your people to handle these two types of difference if you want to have B2B and B2C within your same company. I hope today's lesson will give you an idea what is B2B and B2C and what's the difference, so that you know how to handle the difference, especially in your marketing towards your target customers. Now, if you like this video, please share to your friends and subscribe to our channels. We publish weekly business tips that can help you start and grow your e-commerce business.